All right, let's move on to this section of exercises on dictionaries. So here we're starting out with an exercise where we have two lists, or yeah, um, two lists or arrays or whatever you want to call them. Got magazine and note. So magazine will have a number of words, and note will be a note that we're trying to make. And we want to see, can we create this note using the words in magazine? So basically what we have to do is we have to check each word in note and not only see if it exists in magazine, but make sure that there is that it appears enough times for it to be used. So like for example here we've got 2 times 2 is 4 is what we're trying to is the note we're trying to form, and we've got these words to work with, but 2 only appears once. The word 2 only appears one time in the magazine, and in the note we want to use it twice, and that's not possible. So not only do we need to keep track of the words in magazine, but we need to keep track of how many times they're used. Um, and so basically, first of all, because this is a section on dictionaries, this is an exercise where in order to do it efficiently and in order to make sure that it doesn't time out, we want to use dictionaries. And dictionaries are not something that I'm still like remembering a lot of this syntax, and for that reason I ended up looking at the comments for some help with this. So let's see here. Let me go ahead and reference the comment that I used. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a dictionary of the words and their occurrences in the magazine. So we're going to start with an empty dictionary, and then for each word in magazine, we're just going to add that word. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set default word 0, and then we're going to increase word by 1. Okay, so basically what this dictionary says is that it contains all of the words in magazine, and you look up the word and it tells you how many times that word appears. So basically every time we come across a word in the list magazine, we first of all we add that if that word does not already exist in magazine, then no, if that word does not already exist in our dictionary, then we add it to the dictionary and set its occurrence to 0. And then what we do is we increase the value of that word by 1. So basically, if the word doesn't yet exist, then these two steps together will create that word and set its value to 1. However, if the word already exists, then this first line is just going to be skipped over, and we're just going to increase the word count by 1. And so that's how we go ahead and do it. And so then what we get when we run this loop is we get this dictionary D, which contains each word in the magazine and the number of times that word appears in the magazine. All right, so now we want to actually go through the loop. And so the main loop that we're going to use is we're going to, I called this subset, basically to see if to determine if the note is a subset of the magazine. And so that's why I'm calling it subset. And so the default's going to be yes. And for each word in note, what we're going to do is we're going to see if that word exists in the magazine. So if the word is in the magazine, then basically what we're doing is we're saying, okay, so now we're going to take this word and we're going to remove it from the magazine and put it into our note. So because we're removing it from the magazine, that value needs to decrease by 1. And now, remember, if there's not enough instances of the word in the magazine, then we can't form the note. So we need to check if we're able to do this. So if the value of word is now less than 0, basically what that means was that when we were here, the number of occurrences of the word was 0. And so that means you can't use it because you're all out of the word. And so if the value of the word is now negative, then that means that we've gone over our allowance. And so the note cannot be formed from the word. So then subset, we're going to set it equal to no. And there we go. And now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to include a break, because as soon as we know that the note cannot be formed, we don't need to run this loop anymore. Because there's nothing else that could happen that could make the note formable. So we might as well just stop the loop and stop the code from running. All right, so that's what happens if the word is in the dictionary. If the word is not in the dictionary, then this doesn't even, it doesn't even matter. It's automatically, the note is automatically not formable. So then, again, we have subset is equal to no, and we have a break. So now, seeing that I've done this sort of same thing twice here, I do wonder if there is a way that I could sort of make this a little more efficient. But in any case, I'm not too concerned about this. About making the code look neat. I'm more concerned about making sure that the code runs in the allotted time. So anyway, now we'll print subset, because that's the output that we're looking for. And so, yeah. And we do need to use dictionaries for this, because there is a lot of this if word in D allows us to use dictionaries to look up word in D. If you were to replace this with just like loop through the words in the magazine and look through the words in the magazine and look for the particular word in note. If you just try to do that using like a standard loop and just use arrays, it's going to time out. So here, this step is where we're really using the power of the dictionary and its ability to make these lookups really quick. But yeah, so let's go ahead and run this code and just check that this works. And it seems to work. And so we go ahead and submit the code. And we wait for these two. They're probably longer cases. And I hope that it works, because if it doesn't... All right, great. So there we go. It works. So yeah, I guess that's sort of like a simple introduction to using dictionaries, because basically all we have to do in this is just create a dictionary and look things up in the dictionary. And so you sort of need to know this syntax. And this can be used for creating dictionaries in general. So it's really good to know that. And then, you do need to keep track of how many times each word appears in the magazine. And so you do need to make sure that you're able to keep track of that. But otherwise, yeah, as long as you know how to set up dictionaries, this problem is fairly straightforward. And so there you go. This is the solution.